Hi everyone, it's Fiona King here. Hope you're well. This is our self-paced task for week 8, and it's actually in preparation for assignment task 3. It's time to start thinking about what it is that you're going to create. Remember that assignment task 3 is that you choose one of the art forms and you create something within that art form. So either music or dance or drama or visual arts or media arts. We've talked about so many different activities, we've witnessed so many activities, and we've actually completed a number of activities also. And in our work next week, we will work on a drama activity, and we'll talk more about other options that you can possibly do for assignment task 3. However, this week, what I'm going to ask you to do, and I'm only going to talk for a moment, is to start thinking about which art form that you will choose, and you might have already decided that. And now I'd like you to start experimenting and planning and exploring ideas and actually write them down or video them or just keep some kind of record of what you're doing and what you're thinking. It could be just some scribbles on a notepad, hopefully more than just some scribbles, but also it might be to gather some photos that you might be working with, or it might be to research some ideas. And write those ideas down. So by the end of this week, you've got a paragraph at least of ideas of what you're thinking. You've possibly explored those ideas in terms of, if it was drama, you might have started writing a script, or you might be responding to an idea in a storybook. If it's dance, you might have already decided on the song and started to choreograph a few movements. If it's music, you might be now remember, you can't just perform someone else's song. You'd have to probably create a song or create a soundscape. So you might have already started thinking about sounds to use, or you might have started creating a chorus or writing what the song might be about. And remember, there's so many different ideas. These are just some ideas. For media arts, you might work with a claymation. You might create one of those and you might start thinking about storyline, or you might create a documentary. There's so many ideas you can choose from for media arts. And then you've got, of course, visual arts, and lots of ideas there as well. You can be working with paper, working with drawing, working with paint, working with sculpture, working with fabrics, textiles. So many ideas to choose from. So the idea is to just spend some time this week as your self-paced task and just put some ideas together of what you feel you'd like to do. If you're working in a small group, please do this in the small group setting, but of course do this virtually. So organize a Zoom with each other, whoever's in your group, or perhaps Google Hangouts, whatever works for you and your group in a virtual sense, and actually work out together some ideas of what you'll present. And remember that you'll have to make sure it's clear about how each individual has contributed to that group presentation, the artwork that the group creates. So remember also to start looking at the rubric. We'll go through it next week, and you'll have to think about the elements that you're demonstrating within that particular art form. So that's important to consider. You'll also need to think about your own personal expression, practical knowledge, I'm just reading from the rubric here, and skills through creativity and innovation. So bringing your ideas through and showing that you've gone through some kind of process to explore what those ideas are, and that you haven't just thrown some ideas on a page and that's the end, that you've actually gone through a process of a bit of planning and refining and innovation and creativity, changing ideas, critical thinking, all of those things that you've just moved along and progressed on an idea. And in week 10 during class time, you'll have to share where you're at with your idea, and remembering it's due on the Sunday at the end of week 10. So you'll also have to be able to show that you've used and I'm reading from the rubric here, and experimented with different art making processes. So that means that if you are doing a visual arts work, you might have experimented with line, and you might have experimented with collage, you might have experimented also with texture, different textural elements, and then you've come up with something that shows a bit of each of those things. So you need to be able to demonstrate that you've explored processes, materials, techniques, and technologies if relevant. So the final part is contribution to the group, which is really your own effort, the effort that you've put into your group, the effort that you might have put into your own work if you're working individually. And engaging with the audience means that you'll have to present a short video, like 1 minute or a 1 minute audio clip to just tell me, and it's only me, that what your artwork is about. And if you're in a group, each person in the group will have to share what they contributed to the group presentation. And if you're an individual, you just talk about what you did, and that will help. I'll unpack what all that's about in week 9, but you just be prepared that you'll have to do that as well. So it's really important that your early thinking, which is this week's job, is you've got a record of it, that you've written it down or that you've recorded it somehow, and that you can go back and show how that idea progressed, and so that you'll be able to reflect on that and talk about it in that 1 minute presentation, which is not presentation to the class, it's in lieu of presentation to the class. And so because we're not face to face, you'll have to record that short little intro. It's like an introduction of what you would have done if you were presenting your artwork in class. So have fun with it, have a great time, and we'll talk a lot more about it in week 9, and there'll be some examples shared as well. Okay, have a great week and happy creating.